On Christmas Day in 2023, we left our home in Ohio in our 35-foot, 20-year-old Class A RV to check out Texas. Follow along to see how our adventure progresses. When we arrived at Vista Ridge RV Park south of San Antonio, we were glad to be in a place that we could call home for just more than a week. After the ordeal we had had with our Jeep in Nashville and a stop in Austin for New Year's Eve, we were finally in Texas and not moving. Now we could relax, right? We met with Tammy and she took us for a trip around the park so that we could choose our site. We locked Ray, our little pit bull mix, in the rig while we toured the grounds. We got back to the office and chose our site. Now time to pull in, set up, and relax in the warmer weather. So as I headed to our rig and unlocked the door, nothing happened. Okay. This happened once before and I was able to work with the lock to get it open. Get the WD-40 out and let's see what happens. 10 minutes later and nothing. About this time, just like on the movie RV, we're starting to draw a crowd. I just went in, oiled it all up, and I thought, I got it. Sure enough, I was wrong. That was what, 2 months ago, hon? 2, 3 months?
Yeah, I was thinking about 4.
And it's worked ever since.
They welded the top of the hinges. Can't pop down that. Not unless you grind the weld off.
And you could, but then I don't have a welder with me to put it back on. So eventually I just decided that it was time for a new lock and we would never let this happen again. So out came the drill, and before long the old lock was destroyed and we were able to move the RV out of the parking lot and into our site. Finally, a moment to laugh at our circumstances. We ordered the new lock from RV Lock with the new technology that it provided: touchpad entry and Bluetooth control. After installation, we were secure again. It was a bit rainy the next day, but we wanted to get into San Antonio to do a bit of sightseeing. We stopped at Landry's Seafood House for a bite to eat right on the Riverwalk.
Taking pictures of me eating again.
I am taking pictures of you eating.
Why are you taking pictures of me eating?
Why not? After lunch, it was time for us to do our duck imitation as we strolled along the Riverwalk. We certainly didn't have to negotiate the crowds, just the raindrops. The beauty of the Riverwalk was plain to see. Our timing just needed some work. One of the interesting parts of San Antonio are its missions. Since we were rained out at the Riverwalk, we thought we would visit. Mission Concepcion was our first visit. It was finished in 1756, constructed in the Spanish colonial and Moorish styles. The function of this mission changed over time from its original purpose of converting Native Americans. It was eventually used for secular purposes, including as a home for cattle. By 1861, it was rededicated as a church, and by 1913, restoration was begun by the Catholic Church. It became a National Historic Park in 1978. Our next visit was to Mission San Jose. This mission was built due to a need for a mission that would separate certain types of Native Americans who would not live with one another. The rose window is a classic example of colonial sculpture. Moved to its current location in 1730, the original population of nearly 240 was reduced by an epidemic to 41 by 1739. By 1794, this mission was partially secularized because of changes in the Spanish political landscape. The church continued to function until 1824 when it was closed. Restoration after several structural problems began in 1932. Much of the funding for this project was through the New Deal. The mission represents the most complete of the remaining missions. The sanctuary has been completely restored. You can see the Indian residences around the exterior of the mission. The acequias are canals that were built for the delivery of water to the missions. These acequias were used for the processing of grain in the milling house. The Indian quarters are shown here with the church in the center of the compound. The next mission that we briefly visited was Mission San Juan. This mission suffered more frequent attacks from Apaches and did not have the support of the Spanish in the same way as the other missions. Its history is very similar to the other missions. Tomorrow, on to the Alamo. Well, the sun is up and the rain has gone away. Davy Crockett, immortalized in bronze, stands in front of the Alamo to welcome us. Texas has had a complicated history, with 6 different flags having flown over the state. Today we see the stars and stripes are prominent in front of the Alamo. Some of the cannons that were part of the battle are on display here. Inside the structure, a roof and ceiling have been constructed to protect the facility and to represent what it was when originally used as a mission. Here we see some of the heroes of the battle at the Alamo. This model demonstrates the original grounds of the Alamo Fort. The docents were certainly a font of knowledge about the place and the battle. Demonstrating the architecture of the other missions, there is evidence of the battle that took place here, with indications of musket fire in the walls of the mission. The sacristy was where several women and children were protected during the battle. This hiding spot provided security during and throughout the battle. While the Battle of the Alamo was fatefully lost, it was the beginning of the end for the Spanish occupation and led to the independence of Texas and its eventual statehood. We wanted to see the Riverwalk again now that the sun had returned. On our way into the city, I saw this van and appreciated the reference to the Saturday mornings of my youth. During 100-degree days in the summer, I would sure want my AC tech to be quick. The best way to see the Riverwalk is by boat. It was a beautiful day, so we hopped onto a modern-day gondola and enjoyed the Venice-like canals here in San Antonio. Considering that we are in Texas to avoid the winter weather up north, this was a great way to soak up some rays, history, and architecture at the same time. The fountains and pedestrians, as well as the tropical plants, help us to appreciate our good fortune. Here you can see the Tower of the Americas restaurant in the background. The Riverwalk was a great adventure. Nothing helps to build an appetite like being ferried around a city you don't know, right? We heard that the can't-miss location in San Antonio is La Panaderia. As you can see, the line outside is an indication of what's waiting for us inside. The food met our expectations. San Antonio has some wonderful artwork on their architecture. Just around the corner from La Panaderia is the Buckhorn Saloon and Museum. The Texas Ranger Museum is also housed here. While we weren't ready to eat or drink anymore, I did get some shots of some of the local characters that hang out here in San Antonio. RV life is always about fixing something. Our jack controller had failed, so we ordered a high-tech replacement for our system, and it works great. I can now control the jacks via Bluetooth from outside the rig. Does life get better?